As I'm recording this, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep is just about a day from coming out, so I decided to make a small series about the expansion. I want to briefly look back in this video on the last year of Destiny, and talk about what I'm looking forward to when it comes to Shadowkeep. This is the first in a series of videos I'm going to be making, and the second will come out a day after Shadowkeep releases, where I will talk about how I think the launch went. So to start, let's go into the background info on Destiny the year before Shadowkeep came out. This last year has been a wild ride for both the game and Bungie Studios as a whole. Destiny 2 launched the Forsaken expansion after a full year of disappointment from series fans, with the launch version and the subsequent expansions, Curse of Osiris and Warmind, being seen as a step back from the quality that Destiny 1 had. There were a lot of reasons that people saw it that way, but to explain that in depth would take a much longer video. I would recommend a White Lights video on Destiny 2 Year 1. But despite all of that, Bungie recovered with Forsaken and put their best foot forward again, with gameplay changes, a revitalized story, and incredible areas. The fanbase was pretty ecstatic about that, and when they were ready to go back into a hiatus state that D1 was infamous for having in between expansions, Bungie surprised everybody again by moving forward with a new Season Pass model. The idea of that being that you could buy a Season Pass and gain access to new content that would be developed and released throughout the year. To briefly summarize these seasons, the Season of the Forge was a decent start, but not exactly exceptional, aside from its focus on incredibly obscure puzzles that the community banded together to figure out, to access endgame activities. Season of the Drifter came next, and that was very good for story content, but if you weren't a fan of the Gambit mode, then you were kind of out of luck, because it focused entirely on the Gambit mode. If the Forge could be a start and Drifter could be a stumble, then the next season, Season of Opulence, would have been them breaking out into a real sprint. The Menagerie PvE mode was a pretty big hit with the community. It had a very good story that allowed it to build up to Shadowkeep, and by all measures, Bungie definitely proved the Season Pass model as viable with this expansion. And speaking of Bungie themselves, they made an incredibly bold move in the game industry, ending ties with their publisher Activision Blizzard and becoming the sole owner of the Destiny franchise. They basically went independent with one of the most successful first-person shooter brands on the market and gained complete control over their studio and IP going forward. It's an incredibly bold move, although they did have to sacrifice some of the benefits that came with their publisher, such as marketing pushes as well as subsidiary development studios. But despite those limitations, they've been working to expand the Destiny universe, and they've made another bold move by making all pre-Forsaken content, as well as some of the seasonal content from Forsaken, free to play. So now, anybody with a working console or PC can just download Destiny 2, hop on, and just play for free. The only stuff that's going to be locked off to them being expansion content and new seasonal content going forward. Both this free-to-play move as well as its push towards more seasonal content focus is very interesting for Destiny. It's pushing it from a single buy it and it's done by the expansion next year purchase to something more resembling the MMO model. I'm personally excited to see where Bungie goes from here with this new model, and now that we're getting closer to Shadowkeep, I want to talk a bit about what I'm excited for in regards to it. So starting off, customization. That's going to be a really large focus with Shadowkeep. Armor 2.0 is a feature that they've heavily promoted, where instead of rolling on a random item chart for all of your armor, you can slot armor modifications into your outfits and gear, changing their abilities. So for instance, if you want to play as like a tanky player who can hold the line as long as possible when enemies are charging in, what you just need to do is focus on the resistance skill and go into your armor and add durability modifications, and you'll be able to just take as much damage as you can. But on the other hand, if you want to be, say, a wild gunslinger type who's darting around from place to place and always has throwing knives ready to go out with, then you can just focus on mobility for your speed and add melee ability regeneration modifications. This was already at play before in Destiny, but now you have way more control over what you can do and where you can do it. And the amount of variance that they've been talking about with this system is wild. Like, it is completely uncomparable to what they've been doing beforehand. Especially with the ability to swap them out on the fly. Once you put it in, it's not locked in forever. You can take it out, put it in a new armor set. You can mix and match what armor you want to take where. It sounds great. Judging by pre-release footage, that's one of the things that they're most proud of, as well as the finisher ability, which is essentially just a style thing that they've got going on. You can use some of your super meter, and instead of using a full-on super, you can just do a flashy kill on an enemy. You get some benefits to it, like you might drop special ammo or heavy ammo no matter what, but it's mostly for the flash. You're doing it because you want to look really cool, and it seems to be delivering. I think the best comparison for somebody who doesn't really know what I'm talking about, like if they're getting into this for the first time, if you know about Halo Reach and their assassinations, it's pretty much like that, except you get actual ammo drops and other things from it when you do it. So I am excited to see where they go with that in Shadowkeep, that and the Armor 2.0 system as well, and that's something that they're really excited about too, so that'll be good to see. Another aspect that they're going to be adding is a renewed sense of challenge. That's something that they're very focused on, bringing challenge back to Destiny. Forsaken was really good. It does get credit for reviving Destiny as a whole, but it did bring some problems when it came to character power, notably the fact that people were insanely powerful for what they were actually doing. If you followed the meta builds for things like Crucible, the PvP content, you could become nearly invincible, especially notorious for that were arc-based titans who would just be in their super the entire match, it felt like. But it wasn't just in PvP, it was in PvE as well, especially when it came to the Well of Radiance Warlock, who were able to not just give you regenerating health, but regenerating overshields, while also doubling damage output. It was honestly crazy. It got to the point where, infamously, the boss of the Forsaken raid, I won't spoil it for anybody who's new who's seen this video, but that boss was able to be killed literally in seconds. And I'm all for giving players power and making them feel strong, but, endgame raid bosses should probably take longer than a few seconds to completely kill. And those were just two of the bigger examples. There were dozens of builds that really just made the content trivial at times, and they seem to be putting a stop to that a lot in Shadowkeep. Player power is down across the board, and it seems to be headed that direction for a good long while. And of course, I'm all for seeing challenge. I really like it when a video game challenges me to bring out the best that I can do. But on the other hand, I don't want it to go all the way to another end of the extreme, where it becomes nearly impossible to kill basic enemies at a consistent rate. I think I trust Bungie when it comes to balance. They made some pretty good games already. They made Halo, they made Marathon, they made Destiny 1 and 2, so I know that they can make some good combat. I just want to make sure that they don't hit one extreme or the other. It would be best for them to find a good middle ground where you're challenged, but you're not being punished for playing. Now, the biggest thing that I'm really excited for is the story. I've always enjoyed Bungie's narrative content. I love the Halo campaigns and its extended universe, and Destiny's always had an incredible background plot that's been going on. But the big stuff never really was implemented front and center in Destiny, and it looks like Shadowkeep is going to be focusing on that more mysterious, schemy plot part of Destiny that's always been there. Before, you had to go through grimoire cards or lore books to figure it out and see what's really going on, but it looks like in this one, they're just going to have it front and center. You're actually going to be dealing with the things that they've been talking about in these books for years. And I really do like that. It sounds great. It's also putting the spotlight back on some of the more arcane races that come from Destiny, like the darkness-worshipping Hive, the race of aliens, and their god queen Savathun, the goddess of cunning. As well as the Vex, a hive mind of semi-organic machines. They use their combined processing power to try and scry into the future. It's really cool. They try and find outcomes where they reign supreme above all. They use time travel almost. It's great. And I'm really excited about this because it's always been there. It's always been there, but it's been in the background. It's some of the more interesting stuff that you'll see videos talk about on YouTube, the interesting hidden lore. And if they're really putting their foot down and focusing on that stuff in the foreground now, then I think that's gonna make this a triumph for this series in terms of storytelling. Overall, that's pretty much the main stuff that I'm excited about when it comes to Shadowkeep, and I'm hoping that tomorrow they deliver a really satisfying expansion for all that stuff. So, the day after the expansion releases, I'll release a one day later video, and I'll try and put my first impressions on the content and see if it really lives up to what I want out of it. And a week later, I'll probably do a more detailed look at it, like a week later video, retrospective almost. It's not like a really big series or anything, but I think I can have fun with it. It seems like a good way to engage with this content. And if people really like it, I can make more videos, like a 1 month later video maybe, that focuses a little bit more on the Season of the Undying instead of just Shadowkeep itself. But that's about everything I have for you today, so I hope I'll see you soon with that one day later video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, you know the drill, and if you can, have some fun today. Have a good time.
You went to war out there. Always wondered what that would look like, and I was right. Other side didn't stand a chance.